Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the True Beast Trainer, episode 7. For those of y'all that's just tuning in, we appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Oh, X-Dog is in the building.
What's going on, man? So this one's going to be interesting tonight,
bro?
to say the least. Is there a delay?
For sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Nah, you
so
good.
Yeah, we got none other than Chad Gabbz from Team Floppy Ears, and he's a very laid-back, casual guy. Not a lot of personality.
Yeah, no, not from the from the videos I seen. He's
holds back a lot.
Very, very outspoken. Yeah, he just bites his tongue very
But yeah,
hard.
For those who are just tuning in, if you guys had left a question on our reel, we're going to add you to the spinner wheel. And of course, tonight, all you have to do is ask questions inside the question mark box. Please keep them if you can, dog trainer related. I don't mind answering X-Dog Best product questions, but more importantly, I want to bring more value to you guys while we have an opportunity to have chat. I'm always going to be able to answer questions about that. So let's just take advantage of dog training questions. And so this will be your opportunity to, how I would approach this is how I look at it, is that this is a great opportunity to basically get a free seminar from a dog trainer. You get to sit down and ask him questions about his knowledge on dog training, his experience, and he can give you a perspective, and you can decide if you want to add it to your toolbox or not add it to your toolbox. It'll be completely up to you. And did you fucking wear the same sweatshirt I did? Son of a
Bro, that's what I paused for at the beginning of the episode when he was like, "Are you got a delay?" I'm like, "How the hell did we both end up with a green and a black?" I got a green hoodie on. You got a black hat. I was like, "Yeah, this is what it is." It's my. I throw this on because I'm finna go to the gym, so this is my little hoodie.
And so for those who actually entered, asked the questions on the what do you call it? The actual post. We're gonna give you an extra. We're gonna give you an extra entry inside the spinner wheel tonight, which we got a bunch of great stuff. All the X-Dog products, including the vest, gift certificates, supplements, leashes, collars, all kinds of stuff. So I'm entering you guys right now. There's only a few of you, so a couple of you guys got some double entry, so congratulations on that. And we appreciate all your support, to say the least.
Ashley Marty says we be matching a lot.
So
I guess we don't even realize it.
If you guys ordered the V3.5,
what's the good news?
You're probably going to start getting tracking numbers sent to your email. They're due to arrive Saturday, and we're actually preparing to get everything set up to get those ready to ship. And so if you start seeing the tracking number, it doesn't mean that it actually shipped today. You just make sure you look at the dates, and you'll see that it'll be Monday that we're going to have those things picked up. So if you ordered a V3.5, they're finally here. If you want to get a V3.5 while they're available, be sure to go to the site right now, because that's my shameless plug of the night. Yeah.
Shouldn't be shameless. That's what they're here for.
And you guys, we wanted to make sure that you guys asked some quality questions. We knew, like, when we started doing this stuff, we had to take a break on doing some of the giveaways, because a lot of you guys were just asking mediocre questions just to enter into the contest, and it just made it for something that was kind of boring, to be honest with you. And the whole point of this isn't about the giveaways. The real giveaway is the value that the guests are bringing on and that we want to bring to you. And so our whole goal is to make sure that we don't have a lazy community. That's not what X-Dog's all about. I mean, our mission is very clear. We want to eliminate dog obesity. That's not going to be easy. And we want to help dog owners extend the life of their dog through nutrition, fitness, and education. And by doing so, we're going to help dogs have a healthier and higher quality of life. And we want you to be a part of that, but that takes some work. So you got to have that mindset. So I'm ready when you are, man. Like, whenever you're ready to bring him on, let's go ahead and bring him on, and let's get this ball going. I want to make sure I have everybody on here. We got one more, and then we're going to get the ball rolling. Remember, ask your question in the question box. There he is, Mr. Casual.
What's cracking?
My guy.
Hey, I saw Zach with a mic, and I have one laying around, and I was trying to get it all dialed in, but
Yeah, you could just figure,
This
just
old
hold it up
crusty
there, bro.
ass
It's all the
thing. Hold
same.
on.
My shit
For all
broke.
the new viewers, this is my mic.
Uh, yeah, well, you know, my co-host usually has one too, but he broke his. I
Yeah,
don't know what he'd be over
we're
there. He
about to
just be
go to
over
Zoom
throwing it around.
anyways, just because Instagram is just so inconsistent as far as like I don't even know if you're fucking blurred or not, Chad. I mean, you look clear to me, but then we'll have 10 people saying you're fucking blurred.
Yeah, no, he's good. Everything's good. Hopefully they were like updating software the last 2 weeks
Seems
or
to be
something,
doing
and
all
now they
right on
got their
this
shit
side.
together.
Yeah. So let's just get this ball
Yeah.
rolling. I mean, everybody kind of knows you as the guy who first, when you got your pup, Rosie, that there was an incident where you had to jump over a fence butt naked and only in your robe. But we want to take a deeper dive into actually who you are as a person. So you used to be a professional baseball player, correct? For one of my, well, not one of mine, my fucking favorite team, the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah. That's my rookie card right there up on the wall.
Oh, shit.
That's
What year
badass.
did you actually
Yeah, that's
play for?
badass, bro.
I got drafted in 2004, which is unbelievable how long ago that is now. But it seems like yesterday. I have a vivid memory of my entire 4-year stint with them. I got to double A with them, and then they released me, which completely destroyed my entire world because it wasn't expected. I was actually playing pretty well for a guy that got drafted in the 20th round. I was putting up numbers and performing sort of better than what a normal 20th round pick would perform. So, I got picked in the 20th round, played with them from 04 all the way through 07, 4, 5. Yeah. So.
Well, fun fact, I grew up in a small town called Mason City, which is right outside of Springfield, Illinois, which that's where the single A farm league team is. But, you know, Illinois is really divided. You're either a Cubs fan or a Cardinals fan. So we were about 2.5 hours away from St. Louis. So I was a diehard Cardinals fan. I mean,
It's
back
crazy
from Stan the Man Musial to the Gas House Gang, Bob Gibson, fucking Willie Coleman, Willie McGee, Vince Coleman, Ozzie Smith, old school shit.
Yeah, you sound like a real student. I'm actually good friends with Stan Musial's grandson, Brian.
Oh, nice.
And matter of fact, Stan Musial's he passed something like to the date, you know, a couple days ago. Like I think it's been like 5 years already now. But anyway, yeah, man, that's crazy.
So, let's go back and let's segue back to the whole Rosie incident. You know, like
when she was a puppy. I don't even remember that when I told that story. It was a long fucking time ago.
Yeah.
But we lived in an apartment complex, and you know, one of the reasons why Rosie's so good off leash is something. It's like the one thing I accidentally did good when she was a puppy. Because when I got her, I didn't even know dog training was a profession. Straight up, like I had no fucking idea.
Yeah.
And I got her just blindly, just like one day I was like, I'm gonna get a dog. So I got her, and I was living in an apartment in Fort Worth, Texas, and it was gated, and there was like this little area right downstairs. And whenever I needed to take her potty, I would take her down, but I would never ever put her on a leash. And for the most part, I would just do everything I could to sort of like engage with her and keep her close to me, which is obviously a strategy that I use for my puppies now, where I'm trying to teach my dogs to be off leash with me. And if you can start at an early age, you know, they get used to being off leash. They get used to engaging with you. So that by the time when they grow up, it's not a fucking commodity for them to be off leash. You know, so number one reason why most people with adults have dogs that'll never come back to them because they've never been taken off the leash. But anyway, I was downstairs in my robe because it was like super early, or it was actually, matter of fact, it was super late. And I had my robe on, and it was gated, but like there was tiny little creases in this gate. And on the other side of the gate was like this, like, I don't know, it was like a valley, and it was just like shaped like a U like this. And her little ass like wandered off and like went through the gate, and I was tripping because there was a lot of coyotes over there all the time. I knew there was, you know what I'm saying? And it was like my worst nightmare to like literally watch my puppy get eaten by a coyote. So anyway, in a panic, I did the thing that you're not supposed to do if you're trying to get a dog, right? I chased her. I jumped the fence. And by this time, my robe is like flinging off. I was just like butt naked underneath it and shit. And I promise you, dude, like I was in such a panic. I played outfield, so like she came by me and I got laid out like I was catching a fucking, you know what I mean? I just laid out, and my
Yeah.
I don't want to get too graphic, but my balls and shit just dragged on the grass. I got like fucking rug burn and shit. It was an absolute melee. But yeah, that shit was a long time ago. I can't believe I must have told that story and you remembered it, because I don't remember the last time I told that story.
So I mean, that's what every time I bring you up, they're like, that's one of the things that everybody talks about.
Well, I guess it could be worse things. So I'll take that.
So is that your first dog ever?
Like,
was she your first dog ever?
Like my mother, I grew up like she owned a pet grooming shop, and you know, she bred some dogs and shit. But like the main income was she owned a shop. She just cut hair, you know. And so I'd been around dogs my whole life, but I'm perfect proof of, you know, because you ever hear people say like, oh, I've had dogs my whole life, like that don't mean shit, dude, because I was around dogs my entire life, and to find out I didn't really know a goddamn thing about dogs when push came to shove, you know what I mean? So she was like my first dog that like I called my own, that like I had, you know. There were some dogs in my family, you know, growing up that was like my mom's, and I would say they were mine, but that, you know, there's a difference between that and like actually having your own dog. So technically Rosie definitely my first dog. She taught me all the valuable lessons, you know, because when you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you're going to get put in situations where you kind of realize you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you know what I mean? So super valuable. And like many others in this industry, like she's the one that kind of like, you know, she's the face of my company for a reason, you know. She kind of like, she's my demo dog now. And it's the fact that like, I think one of the most impressive things is when the story goes, she was a nightmare, and I took everything that I learned and I put all that knowledge into her, and I completely turned her around after she was already an adult. It wasn't like I fucking trained her from puppy, you know what I mean? So like, I think it gives people hope when they hear that story, because a lot of people are like, oh, old dog can't learn new shit. Like, that's false, because Rosie was like, you know, she was already 2.5 years old by the time I even started any kind of training at all. And so we turned her into this like dog that like impresses everybody. And so people hear that and they're like, oh, it kind of convinces people to like pull the trigger and really see the value in what the training can do for them as well, because everybody can benefit from dog training.
Well, speaking of not knowing shit, when did it translate to where you're like, okay, who taught you and what got you interested in actually knowing what the fuck you're talking about when it comes to dog training? Who taught you everything, or what was who were some of your mentors?
So it's interesting. I think there's a lot about my story that really aligns with like timing, man. Like I still trip out till this day, like with where I'm at now. And it all really kind of come down to like the timing of my life, because I had just retired from baseball and I was like super bummed out about shit. And like I woke up every day for 10 years excited, you know what I mean? And then when those days, you know, came to an end, it was like I was dealing with identity crisis. I was dealing with what the fuck am I going to do for work, you know, all these things. And I got Rosie, and Rosie was kind of the thing that kind of like lit me back up a little bit. And it's kind of hard for me to talk about that without getting a little emotional. I'll try not to make it weird, but like all of a sudden, like I was excited again, you know, like she really kind of pumped life back into me when every day was a drag for a couple of years there. But yeah, so I was already super enthusiastic about her. And as soon as I met my now wife at the time, this gal called Kyla hit me up, because I had already started like playing with social media. And if you guys been on it for about 10 years, you know, back then it was sort of easy to build up the platform because the algorithm was more chronological, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it's a bit tricky, but back then it's like I built up 20, 30K like real quick, you know?
Yeah.
And so Kyla reached out to me because at that time I was just advocating for pit bull dogs, sort of almost ignorantly, because even at that point I didn't really know a whole lot. I was just kind of like, you know, I don't know, regurgitating, I suppose. I was like regurgitating content and putting my own spin on it. And I think that was the thing that really kind of caught on for me, is I was always like kind of looking to put my own, like, you know, humor, my own spin on certain things, and brought a little bit of entertainment value to it, aside from just like the facts that I was, you know, regurgitating and shit. But in any case, the reason why Kyla reached out to me is because she knew I had I had followers and things like that, and she was doing a calendar, and she wanted to use Rosie for one of the months in the calendar, and basically, this is when I kind of learned that dog training was a profession, because Kyla, she kind of saw how I handled Rosie. Like when we first met, like she was kind of like laughing at how I had no idea what I was doing. Like she was pulling me all over the place and I was all getting all frustrated and shit. But Kyla was a dog trainer already. And so my enthusiasm for Kyla, because I didn't know she was hot, bro, like straight up. She hit me up and like she had like a it fucked me up.
It changed the whole perspective when you met her. Huh?
Like
Yeah.
I've told this story a million times, but like she had a feature page. It was called Beauty and the Bully, and she was throwing in pit bulls with models and shit. And so she was featuring all kinds of other girls. And I was a pretty busy dude at the time, and like I didn't really take the time to creep on her page to see like what she looked like. I just knew that it was like this page that also had a few followers that wanted to do business. And at that time, I was like all about building my platform. So I was like, fuck yeah, let's collab, whatever. And then when I seen her, I just started laying the charm on pretty thick, you know, and then it went well. And then, okay, so let's get to the ham and eggs. She kind of like introduced me to the, you know, to the things that she knew, and just a few basic, simple, couple little things like really changed the game for me. And at that point, I was doing like demo work and doing fucking shitty work I didn't like doing. And again, the timing of it, it kind of came at that time where I was like looking for something, but only God knew what the hell it was going to be, because I didn't want to coach baseball. It wasn't on my heart to do that shit. I was just done. I was like, I'm retired. I'm not doing baseball anymore. Yeah. So like I saw the difference that it made in Rosie, and life was just so much better with Rosie after that, you know? And I just became really fucking like every day, just like super committed, like the same type of passion, the same type of commitment that I'm always trying to sort of preach to my clients today. It's like the only reason why I was able to get the things out of her was because I literally made it a part of my daily life to get those changes. And it just gave me enthusiasm. It gave me like inspiration, and it fired me back up. And Lord knows that's the thing I needed. I needed something, because I guess I'm the type of personality that wasn't really going to be happy unless there was something that kind of like excited me and shit, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe that's because I had an exciting life I signed when I was 19, like pretty much right out of JUCO. And I didn't know anything but like enjoying life and traveling and playing in front of thousands of people. Like my life was amazing. And so I think that's what kind of got me to that shitty place, was like, this fucking sucks. Like real life, I really didn't know what real life was all the way till I was 28 years old, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's about when I retired. So I know that's kind of a long-winded answer, but my now wife is the one that got me into dog training. And then I guess from there, you know, there's a lot more to the story, but because I had the platform, a lot of other trainers that I really admired and looked up to, and still to this day, gave me the time of day, and I was very attracted to them. Not like that, don't be crazy, but like I was just like,
You got a wild life, bro.
I know,
You should be hitting on everybody.
I was very willing to like shout them out, very willing to praise them. And I think in exchange, they never really told me this, but I think in exchange for how boisterous I would be about them for helping me, they were always really happy to like help me with specific cases. And because anytime somebody first starts a dog training, there's always this like this feeling of you're pretending.
Imposter syndrome, maybe.
Yeah. So there's always that. And so I wanted to get past that as quick as I could. I knew I had the ability because I had already started really like showing that, you know, I proved it with Rosie, but at the same time, it's a whole different ballgame once you start taking on a multitude of different types of cases where it's fear, it's aggression, it's all these different things are thrown in the mix. And so anyway, grateful as hell. Dave, Canine Karma Training, Adam, South End Dog Training, Larry Cron over there at Pack Masters. All these guys like really showed me the time of day, and I really it wasn't about them being popular or nothing. They were obviously really popular. Adam, not so much at the time. Adam's only blown up in the past year or two, but I just knew that they had their heart in the right place, and you watch them, and I know it's social media and it's easy to kind of fucking whatever. It's a lot of people are bullshitting, but like I could just really tell that their hearts were good, and their strategy was really tied into, you know, doing things the right way, and putting in the actual work and being as ethical as you possibly can be, and strategic, and just really getting the results in a really fair yet efficient way, you know. And so they helped me monumentally. And I think it got to the point where it's like I now never really question shit. I know I don't want to say I've stopped learning, but I'm just at the point now, after all the education and the commitment and seeking knowledge, that I know I got the good intentions, and I also have the mileage to back it up. And so everybody that comes through here, I really am grateful to them, but I also know that they're getting like a legitimate product from me, from both ends of the spectrum. And that's really what I try to tie it into, because that makes you social media proof. If I got 300K I got like 300K total right now, but I could lose it all. And it's because of these intentions, and it's because of the results that we're getting, that people are going to continue talking about me. And obviously you guys know word of mouth is the best possible thing. So that's why I try to tell if there's any younger dog trainers watching right now, try not to get discouraged over not having much of a platform. It's just really about getting the ball rolling and showing the people that you care a lot, because that's the most important thing, is that you actually really fucking care, because you're dealing with very precious cargo. And I don't really joke about this, but like you can be not the best trainer in the world, but if people walk away like feeling that you really cared and you put your fucking heart into it, they're still going to talk about you, even if the product wasn't like magic, you know what I mean? So I think that's like the most important thing there. But anyway, I feel like I'm babbling right now.
No. Like what you're saying is a lot of interesting things. Like I started this year too with X-Dog. I literally, like, I'm in the warehouse now, and everybody who places an order online, I pick up the phone. I personally hit them up and call them and build that relationship. Me and Zach talk about it all the time. Like this year is all about going the extra mile, because everything's so automated now that it's like, most of the time, like Sabrina, who handles like customer service, they're like always hitting her up. It's like, is this really fucking Stan hitting me up? Because they're like, can't believe it, because you're right. Like, I don't have a fucking education in business. I don't have an education in nutrition, but I got like 10 or 20 years, 2 decades worth of just being around PhD biochemists, licensed veterinarians, PhD nutritionists, just a bunch of great dog minds. Like this whole company is built off dog minds, right? Like dog trainers, world-class trainers, handlers, competitors, and stuff like that. But I think you hit it right on the head. It's like you started to do things and go the extra mile and became fans of some of these people that you wanted to learn from first. You brought value to them first, where we're in a world where everybody's like, well, pay me now, and then we'll discuss how hard I'll work for you later, or what I'll do for you later, you know? And I admire that, man. I think that it almost makes you bulletproof, you know, like as far as like when it comes to your ability to have longevity.
Yeah, for sure. I think if I didn't sort of base this on that premise, I'm not sure if I would be as successful as we are now. And it happened relatively fast too. I think largely in part because of the timing. Like, you know, the era of social media, how easy it is to communicate and things like that. And to be honest with you, I don't get a ton of business through socials because I don't really run ads. Everything is organic for me. But it could be like, oh yeah, go check out his socials. And then someone will hit me up and be like, yeah, you know, I've been watching you for a while. So like there's access to that, you know, people, I can't tell you how many people have hired me that have been watching that just quietly. I don't know they exist, but they've like been watching me for like 2 years. And that's why I would say people aren't stupid, you know? I mean, I guess people can be naive, but I really feel like people can really read between the lines. And that's another thing, like, cause I'm about to launch this little social, cause I don't have like a degree in shit, but like I played around in socials, and I think, you know, the numbers can speak for themselves. It's not a fluke that I've got like, you know, on 3 different platforms, the 3 that I focus on most to have like a bunch of followers. If it was by accident, I think maybe I'd only have it on 1 platform, but it's not. And it's because like, I really just was interested in it and played with it and see what works, see what doesn't work. I'm about to launch this. Little social media digital product, and I completely fucking lost track of what I was about to say. There's no punchline there, but yeah. So
yeah.
Well, I think you're right, man. Consumer experience is everything. A lot of people think the dog training is the product, but it's like I always tell people, like I tell Zach all the time in the team, it's like, yeah, like the vest is a tool, it's a product, the supplements are a product, but the real product is consumer experience. What type of person, when they come in, did you lie to them on claims, or did you give them give them honesty? Did you give them real results? And was their experience, again, did they feel like you fucking cared about them? And that's a new currency, man. Caring is a fucking massive currency right now. And if you do it, man, it's going to give you a leg up. And like you said, if you don't have that big of a following, it's 10 times more valuable to retain a customer and get that word of mouth than it is to find a new one. So,
yeah, for sure. From my vantage point, it's clear as day. I don't really know you like all that well, but I watch you, and it's fucking obvious to me that like you are the brand. Like Zach, no offense, I actually didn't know that you were like the other side to it because I haven't really seen your face much. But Stan, yeah, dude, like you live this shit. Like there's no secret there. So I mean, give you props for that because we've known each other a while, bro. I remember you long time ago. You sent me the black and yellow one, like right after it came out, like the first black and yellow one.
yeah. I got to update you, man. I got to upgrade you.
Hey, speaking of update, if you do, I want to get one for my boy Sparty because Sparty's gonna blow up, dude. Sparty Pants. Yeah. He's the Canis Panther that my wife owns.
Oh shit. Not too many people know what a Canis Panther is. Why don't you explain to them what?
Yeah, that's why I think my wife got into it. She's like
black or she?
Yeah, yeah. His name's Spartan. He's probably top three in the game right now as far as aesthetics, as far as temperament, as far as what's the word? He's very versatility. He's actually my wife's diabetic alert service dog. So nice. He's a G. But no, he would get a lot of eyes on. I don't know, babe. I think my wife is actually in the chat right now. Yeah. I thought personally that he would look best in the white and gold one, which has always been my favorite. I think that's called the honey drip or some shit like that.
Yeah, the milk and honey. Yeah,
the milk and honey. That shit is fire.
Milk and honey.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's my favorite. I like that one, especially on a black dog. It just stands out so bad.
Canis Panthers. A guy by the name of trainer out of Arizona by the name of Bill Ellinger. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's a friend of mine. I've known him for a long time, and he introduced me to that breed. And they're a very serious dog. They're a dope ass dog. They're majestic as hell.
Yeah.
They're just an overall dope ass breed.
Yeah, I'm impressed. But I think also like we got him from like a really, really passionate breeder. And, just like, you got really good breeders that are breeding for all the right reasons. And then you got shitty ones that are just trying to fucking copycat that come out with a real shitty product. But he came from somebody that lives it, bro. Like doesn't even make a lot of money doing it. Is just in it to like really improve the breed. And I mean, ultimately that's what you want. And she got picked. I think she got pick of the litter. And it's unbelievable that she picked him because he's clearly like the most solid one out of the entire litter. But
well, I know we got a bunch of questions from the guests in the question box, so this is part of the segment where we're going to start just shooting you some questions, and you guys can take his advice or leave it. It's up to y'all, man. He's got some valuable insight and brings massive value, so I would definitely take his advice. So you want to go ahead and start, Zach?
Yep, scrolling to the first one. Here we go. Aries Got a Bully says, what should someone look for when searching for a dog trainer locally?
I suppose I would want to like watch them, like watch them and just get a feel for energy because words is words, man. Like honestly, and that's the point I was trying to make. It's like one of the reasons why I think I have been able to build these platforms. And one of the reasons why a lot of people do hire me after watching me for a while is because I'm constantly talking and like giving people energy. I'm constantly putting things out. I'm constantly.
Well, at the end of the day, like you're training the dog, but someone owns the dog, and that someone is a human. So you have to build a relationship with that because they're your actual consumer. The dog's not spending the money; he just needs the help. So in order for it to grow in a experienced way, like you said, you have to relate to that person. You have to relate to your consumer. So I think that's where you're winning because you're transparent, you're outspoken, you have this energy about you, this aura of good, positive, you know what I'm saying, energy, and it just attracts people to you. So the universe is just rewarding that. But at the end of the day, like we said a minute ago, it's always about the experience. And I think that's what a lot of handlers forget. Like I own the dog, like it's me, a human. So you can't just be like dog, 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 dog. You got to understand that
100%. And I
there's a human involved too.
highly encourage the dog trainers that are getting going to exactly to kind of build off what you just said. It's like, have conversations with them aside from the dog shit, like connect with them, connect with them on a different level. Like one of the easy ways for me to do that is to actually tell them a bit of my story. Cause when they come here, they're like, wow, look at this big ass, we've got this acreage here. We've got all this shit that I've built. And I go into a little bit of my story. And as I'm telling that story, it puts me in a position to kind of give these people more insight and more energy as to why I'm doing this. Like, obviously we do this shit for the money, but at the same time, like the money is always going to be the byproduct of the intentions and shit. So like that shit takes care of itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least from my experience.
Well, no, it's in any type of entrepreneurship. This is why I always tell people, I joke around and said, I'm a salesman. This is why I'm a great salesman. I'm not a salesman. I teach all our staff. We actually serve people. Like we're here to serve you, go the extra mile for you. And by serving people, that byproduct is you're solving problems. And if you can solve problems, people will pay to get those problems solved. Mm-hmm. Like that, like I know I would, just about everybody in business pays to get a problem solved. And so, when it comes to dog training, I could be wrong, but the big problem usually is the communication barrier between the owner versus the dog. They just have a lack of communication, and the trainer helps you all. It's basically you're teaching them how to communicate with one another.
Fact, that and just helping them understand their specific dog better, because unfortunately, a lot of people think they do, but they really don't. But
all right, let a good transition to this question here from Sinister Bullies. They said, what is the number one mistake you see dog owners with limited knowledge make with their young pups?
Oh, I'm answering that.
Yeah, these are all for you, buddy.
I just think
these
that's
are all
like
for
the
you.
most important part of the dog's life in reference to like, let's talk about like forming and shaping behaviors and really getting a good foundation before all the shitty behaviors develop. So if you got a puppy and you're not really spending like really constructive time together, doing a lot of engagement, shaping behaviors and, exposure and taking that into the world and just lots of like productive interaction. That's the shit that a lot of people miss out on. And then by the time the dog's 1 and 2, the dog don't know shit. So that's pretty much it.
Good. All right, this one's from Ashley Martis. Where do you start when teaching off-leash training with a young pup?
Well, so I have my own personal strategy. I like to, if I have a young pup, as young as 12 weeks, I'll take him to an area like where first thing, I'll make sure I'm engaging with them so they want to stay by me. But typically a young puppy doesn't really want to steer too far away from the person anyway, because they're like, whoa, where are you going?
Yeah.
And so, like I said, like kind of like with the Rosie story, it's like I got her off leash early and often in a space where I felt like she was safe, and I engaged with her while she didn't have a leash on. And so anyway, it's just basically starting like that. And if you're just strolling in a field and the puppy comes back to you on their own without even you asking, you just got to be prepared to reward that dog for performing that behavior. That's technically like that's called free shaping a behavior, when a dog offers something without you asking for it. And you just know that is something that is a rewardable offense. So you're just walking, dog goes that way, you change directions. The little puppy recognizes that you change directions because they're like, whoa, where are you going? Dog comes back, you pay that dog. So very basic, very fundamental, but I do believe a lot of people don't understand that, nor do they implement it. Yep.
Yeah, they just missed that part of it, right? So at that point, is praise good enough as a reward, or is a treat needed in that situation?
Any of the three, right? Like I think it could be any of the three, but typically, food is always puppies always want food,
King.
So it's the dogs that are already grown that have certain like emotional responses that are fear or all these things that I've developed. Now a dog won't take food, you know, but like a puppy, fuck, every puppy I ever met that hasn't been all fucking abused, they'll take food every time, like every time. So anyway.
All right. You got the next one, Zach?
Yep. Let's see. Ace the German Mouse says, where do y'all stand when it comes to balance training and PP
I
training?
don't really get in the back and forth with that shit. It's a super tired fucking deal to me. With the people wanting to be right. That's the thing. That's the thing. Everybody wants to be right, you know. And I'm way less concerned with feeling like I'm right. I have what I believe in my brain and in my heart, and that's for my clients really. So I think there was a time where I really felt obligated to sort of defend, because people, you know, they want to try to like make you out to be, you know, this, that, and the third. And I just got to a point where I know in my heart I ain't doing a goddamn thing to hurt these dogs. I'm doing everything in my power to help. And so if I use tools, whatever, just as long as I'm using them as appropriately as possible, then can't nobody really tell me shit. Nobody's gonna really change my mind about it anyway. So I don't get caught up in the back and forth with that. I honor anybody that does things how they do, just as long as they're not hurting the dog. But as far as like label, I don't know that I could really label myself anything, because I just have like the way that I do it. And if I had to say, I really like training without conflict, you know, and I say that as somebody who uses remote collars, because I use them in a way that doesn't add any conflict. I'm not going to use an e-collar or a prong collar on a dog who isn't really prepared for that type of pressure. So it's always appropriate. And so I got the Chad Gabbz style. I don't really know that I fall into any category, nor do I even want to be in any category, because that shit is for the birds, to be honest.
You're right. And, you know, I was listening to one of my mentors today, and, you know, when it comes to like responding and just investing time into shit like that online, like that's just low frequency stuff, and it's going to just fuck up your energy anyways. And at the end of the day, if you're focused on back and forth banter on fucking, you know, social media, you shouldn't be dog training, because you got too much fucking time on your hands, you know? And so people who invest time into that, that's just a big red flag, especially if you're in the game or you're in the business. I think a lot of you feel like who do that, you think that you're attracting more customers, but you're actually moving more customers away, because people actually really want to pay money and invest into your time and energy. Their first thing they're going to think is like, this motherfucker's always online, or this lady's always online arguing all the time. When are they going to have fucking time to train my dog? And so it's just a big turnoff, you know? So just stay confident, stay collected, and don't invest time into that. So
I mean, that's why, you know, see, my content predominantly like revolves around like entertainment. I don't really talk a lot about dog training strategy. I'm just fucking, but anyway.
All right. So I got a question from Doberman_Remy_Enrolli. What advice would you have about an older bonded pair and the female is becoming aggressive?
That's tough. An older bonded pair, females becoming aggressive. It's a really tricky one, you know. I always want to just think about, it's such an instinctual thing, you know, and it's one of those situations where, like, if I'm going to give any recommendation at all without actually seeing what the fuck's going on, you know what I'm saying, with my own eyes and feeling what's going on, in a perfect world, you'd like to be able to for them to be able to coexist and be good. But at the end of the day, like, if your instinct says that this shit is just, there just has to be more control. There just has to be more, you know, the one that's causing, if there is one or the other, then it's like, you got to have the dog on a leash, man, or something. And, you know, these are situations where I could never really guarantee, you know, I wish I could sit here and say, like, I have these like special remedies to like make dogs all of a sudden get along again. Like, I haven't really been able to guarantee that. Sometimes it's cool, like when you switch up the flow and like you take away some freedoms and you provide more stability and you have more control. Sometimes it'll pan out, but there's other times from my vantage point where these motherfuckers just don't like each other anymore, or they just don't like each other, period. And that's a reality in my heart. And, you know, I wish, well, that's really good too.
Yeah.
Baby.
No, that's real
baby.
life. Yeah, that's stuff.
She said
They're
Says my
dogs at the end
wife,
of the
my,
day.
my, my first mentor actually brought up a great point right now. Rule out anything medical first. That's perfect.
Yeah, it could be neurological. What do you say? What would you say? Because she's getting old, so it
Yep.
could be like issues, chemical
Thank you,
imbalance,
baby.
like,
Thank you for
you
reminding
know.
me.
Very good. Let's see here. There was one we had. It says 360 West Coast. When training, do you always use treats? What treats do you
I
like,
mean,
or toys? What toys do
I
you
usually will
prefer?
use food towards like the beginning of the process, right? Because I don't. Eventually, we phase things out. I typically use food as, the initial way to form behaviors and have it as a reinforcer, right? And so I'm not always going to have food on me. So as long as I'm sufficiently teaching, food is just eventually you're not carrying food at all, because as soon as the dog starts to understand the concepts and as soon as the dog starts to understand the commands and shit, now I expect the shit from you. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily have to pay you. I don't have,
Yeah.
damn, one of you farted like a mug too. Dang.
Speaking of
Oh,
food, what did you eat?
Bro, dude.
man.
Hey, no, treats wise, I only use I'll use treats like if a dog is like super fearful and won't take like their meal, because I don't use treats. If a dog takes their kibble, that's what I use.
Yeah.
I use the dog's kibble. So.
Yeah.
And my dogs
Yeah.
fucking, they eat their kibble for, so I don't buy treats. But hey, recommendation, Happy Howie's is a great company because they're easy to chop up. You can put them in a little veggie cutter and fucking, they're easy to cut, and you can it comes in a roll. And I'm not sponsored by them at all, but Happy Howie's, they definitely make a good product. You might want to check that out.
All right, Thea underscore the Mally underscore 8. How will you know, or how will I know if my dog is stressed during the training?
I think that's like an instinct, it's an instinct. Dog looks like they're shut down, or they're like cowering, or they're freezing up. They look confused. That type of vibe, like,
Yeah. So body language, I
yeah,
guess you would say, have a lot to do with it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could kind of, I don't know, you can kind of tell when a dog does. Well, I guess you can, because I've seen people really try to force their dogs who are just shut down. They try to do things with them still when we're already shut down. And sometimes you got to have a soft hand on certain dogs. Like my dog, fucking Bravado, man. Like everything is just building trust with that guy.
Mhm.
Uh, I,
Well, yeah, I've seen a lot of people sometimes, and it's like they think their dog is being like calm and chill, but I read like the dog is being freaked the fuck out and scared, and he's like, "Look, my dog's stacked up and he don't move," and it's like, "Yeah, well,
Yeah, I
exactly,
always
he's
talk
scared to
about
death right
that.
now, bro." So
Yeah,
sometimes it's energy,
you can
bro.
tell.
It's just that energy that we
I mean,
put
from
off,
my
man.
vantage point, you can tell which trainers have dogs that listen out of fear as opposed to, eagerness to
Yeah,
perform because they know something's in it for them. Everything around my training revolves around what's in it for the dog, Um, and my dogs don't look like they got a fist hovering above their shoulder. You know what I mean? My dogs.
yeah, you can see that like they're
And I'll
almost
put
their
up,
ears
I'll
are
put my
kind of
dogs.
bent. They
I'll put
just
my pets up against
yeah.
anybody's pets. I mean, I may not win, but it'll be pretty close.
Where was this one? The next question was, oh, how do you train your dog to stay from a distance? So let's say you're, trying to get further and further away
Uh,
with it, staying in a
Well,
single
you just
spot.
start by initially forming the behavior of, performing a down, right? And let's see. So, all right. So, like, real quick. So, like, the dog's in a down. You pay the dog for down. Uh, I like to multiple feed while the dog is in the down. Uh, and here's the thing, like, this is when
Mm-hmm.
a dog like learns to hold a behavior without really knowing they're doing it. They're just sort of enjoying themselves while they're in the behavior. So like by feeding one after another while the dog is continuing to perform the down, they're essentially holding the down, but you're not forcing them to do it. They're enjoying themselves while they feed, feed, feed,
Mm.
feed. And then I take like one step back and then come back and feed again. And then I take two steps back. And if the dog holds the position, I'll come back and reinforce again. And then I go three steps back. So it's just like a slow it's like a slow process. And some, you know, not all dogs are created equal, in my opinion, because some dogs sort of kind of pick up on the patterns a little bit quicker than others. So it just depends, I guess, on your dog's learning ability. But yeah, so and if the dog breaks the command, which you didn't really give them, you're just trying to, like, if they pop off, you just got to put them right back on the same exact spot and do that same shit again and try to get 3 steps back next time. So if you failed at 2 steps back, get them back on there, reinforce it, take 3 steps back, and then you kind of like these little incremental victories to the point where the dog won't break the command until you give them, you know, something else to do, whether it's a recall or a break or whatever it is. So yeah.
All right. 360 West Coast. When leash training, do you find you get better results on different types of leashes?
Not necessarily. I think no. I mean, it doesn't really matter what kind of leash it is. I mean, I guess slip lead versus like a regular leash on a collar, like, I guess, I don't know, preferential. I mean, I believe that I could get any dog to walk fine on flat buckle, slip lead. I like using prong collars, but I don't necessarily need them to teach a dog to walk because, you know, there's just other strategies to teach a dog to be right next to you. Directional changes, you know, engaging with the dog while they're in the heel with like a lure and shit like that. Just about getting, as simple as this, is a dog learns how to do things by doing them a lot, period, whether it's a good behavior shaping or whether it's a bad one. You just, you know, so anyway, no.
Yeah. At what age do you recommend people introducing a leash to their puppy?
Hell, I don't put a lot of pressure on a puppy. I don't really require the puppy to heel. I don't really use the leash to like give corrections or anything like that. So you can put a leash on a dog, and typically I have, when I introduce a leash, the leash is on. I'm not necessarily using it in the same way that I'm going to eventually be using it. Like, I just want to like slowly introduce them to like the pressure, because it's a very foreign feeling. You know, you put a leash on a puppy, they don't know what the fuck that means. So like if you're a little too hasty on it, you can kind of give them a bad taste in their mouth and sort of create a negative association to it. So just having the leash on and engaging with them while the leash is on is a victory at that point. And then you just every day put it on there, engage, feed, leash is on. Dog goes to the end of the leash, you just let up, they feel that little bit of pressure, you put that reward out, they come right back to you. So it's almost like you're introducing the leash pressure to them in a really positive format, because when you're prepared to pay them directly after they feel that pressure, they're like, oh shit, I feel like following that pressure now, because I typically get paid at the end of that rainbow. You know what I'm saying? That's how I do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
Pretty
sense.
Simple. It's nothing fancy, you know?
Yeah.
Thea the Mali says, when it comes to focus and eye contact for a 6-month year pup, what would be your method for before going fully off leash?
The short answer is just a shit ton of engagement, you know, like engagement work. So understanding, you know, if you got a Mal, shit, it's probably dog probably really likes to play, you know. I love using gameplay for high drive dogs, namely tug. I love tug. I probably love tug more than anything for that, because that's a really biologically fucking fulfilling game for a dog like that. And nothing more fun for them dogs than to bite shit, you know. And again, going back to like my whole shit revolves around like what's in it for the dog. And if you formulate your training in a way that it's super fun for your dog, then you're going to get engagement out of that. So that would also tie into the off leash thing, because if you continuously and are constantly making yourself like the center of this fucking dog's universe, it's much more likely that you'll end up in a place where like, and of course there's a conversation of e-collar, which I love the e-collar for off leash stuff. I particularly, like, for the most part, use the e-collar for off leash shit. Like, I could get all these behaviors and shit without it, but I do tie, that's a conversation. I tie it all into other behaviors as well, but like I mostly use e-collars for off leash shit because it's the invisible leash. But that's a conversation that you should have with like your that's a conversation you should have with in real life with a trainer, and they can kind of show you the system that they use and shit like that.
All right. Got salty_bullies_808. What's the best way to curb biting the leash when leash training?
I think one of the things you can do is get one of those leashes that it's like a chain. They have like leashes that are chain link instead of like nylon. And, you know, that's one of those things where they try to bite the chain, and it's not all that fun. You know, that's one trick. The other trick is, you know, pull that motherfucker out of his mouth. Don't fucking bite the leash. What do you do? You know?
Like, don't put the people elbow on him one good time.
I
Real
mean,
quick, that shit.
Sometimes though, like there's some dogs that think you're playing when you do that, so it's like, it could be a little tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dogs will be dogs, that's for sure. What else you got for us, Stan?
Let's do 2
you got
more
something
questions.
else? You got some more questions?
And then, we'll let Chad do his thing,
all right.
man.
Thanks for thinking about me, Sam. I appreciate you guys.
No, man.
It's really cool because I get offers to do this sometimes, but I don't really feel too enthusiastic about a lot of people. So I really appreciate you guys.
No, this is an honor, man.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time, man.
All right. You want to see if you can find one more question, and then I'm going to go ahead and start spinning the spinner wheel because I know everybody's been waiting for this stuff too.
Neely Watt says, have you ever done competitive training, rally, obedience, agility?
I'm sort of a self-taught advanced obedience advocate, and I really like advanced obedience. You know, dogs spinning and doing, you know, competition style healing and, you know, backpedaling up shit and just doing funky shit just because I think it's fun. I don't necessarily find it to be practical for the everyday. You know, it's not something that I think is like necessary, but I do find that you automatically get a little bit of a better relationship when you go through the things that need to be done in order for your dog to understand their back legs and things like that, you know. And I think it's fancy. I think it's pretty fun. There's guys that are a million times better than me. I've never really taken any competition style courses, but I was able to, you know, talk to some trainers, and they gave me a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I just put it to use. I think it's fun. I think it strengthens the relationship, but I don't think it's particularly necessary. And here's the thing, man, like, don't get too discouraged by, you know, by people that have super fancy dogs, because a lot of people look at that, like, make them feel a little insufficient, you know, like, a lot of the time they're like mouths, they're like fucking Lambo dogs and shit. Like, not taking away from I'm just saying, like, not all dogs are equal, bro. Like, you know what I mean? You got a fucking little mutt over here that doesn't have half the drive, doesn't have half the fucking ability. You can't really compare yourself to somebody that's got a straight up Lamborghini for a dog. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. But anyway.
Yeah.
So one of your videos had where I kind of noticed you that kind of stood out was there was a time, and I don't know if you want to talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. But there was a time where you were standing in front of a dog park, and you kind of ran into a lady who was kind of giving you a hard time. How that incident happened that was so organic, man, and it was everywhere for a while.
Yeah, so I got a lot of hate for this, but I got a lot of people support me too. The only reason why I got hate, the only reason why I got hate for it is because I was sort of standing. I wasn't blocking the entrance, but I was sort of kind of standing towards the front of the entrance. But what all these people who are literally like just crucifying me for was that I was blocking the entrance, right? I wasn't blocking the entrance, and it's a fucking 20-second video. What these people didn't see was that there was about 15 people before this person go in successfully. And the kicker was that all those people had their dog on a leash till they got inside the dog park. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And another thing these people don't understand is I'm here trying to help this fucking dog. They don't know that I'm a dog trainer. They don't know that this is a dog that's really working through some great things, like working through some serious shit. Yeah. And I was there to work threshold, right? So threshold is like, okay, this dog was super reactive from like a mile away. Now with the improvements, he's not quite as reactive. I want to see where we're at putting him a little closer to the stimulant. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I was doing. But of course, I'm not taking the time to explain that to these fucking morons that were all hating on me. Like,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And here's the thing, bro.
Karen showed up with her dog.
I was straight. Like, I was like, oh no. Like, I was like, oh, my dog's not friendly. I wasn't mean to them at all, bro. Like, I was, and then I just picked up on the Karen energy immediately, dog. Like, I fucking knew she was gonna be a bitch about it. So that's when I'm terrible about giving you back the energy you give me, dude. Like, like that's why I'm so
For
like,
sure.
I have to like stop myself when people talk shit, because.
That usually folds them type of people, though. It's like when they get their energy back, they don't know how to perceive
all of a sudden,
it.
I became
holy shit.
Like
what?
I became the asshole.
You're an animal.
Like, fuck you, motherfucker. And I was like,
yeah. Now you're the irate person, and they're like, oh, God,
so,
gosh.
I mean, like, thank you for the 11 million views, though. I mean, I appreciate that, you know.
Dope.
Yeah, she got them up.
Run the views
I made
up,
like
Karen.
$300 on that one video on TikTok, and you get like 4 cents. You know, you get like 4 cents, 1,000 views. Like, it was crazy.
Man, but like we said, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on here and spill your brains and give these people some knowledge. That's the goal here, man. We're just trying to enlighten dog owners and make a better place for these dogs out here, bro.
Can you give the audience just just one golden nugget of advice when it comes to getting it, if they're interested in becoming a professional dog trainer? What would be one thing that you could offer them that they could take home with them tonight?
If you just woke up one day and had that thought in your head, I never, you know, I did this shit for a couple years without making any money, you know? And so I think ultimately, in short, it's like the initial intention was never to make money. It's shit developed into this, but it just came from like it being the thing that like got me up every day, you know, and it eventually turned into that. And I think there's a lot of people out there with a very similar story where they just did some shit they fucking were lit up about, and things sort of ended up taking care of themselves. So I would just say, take a look at what your intentions are with it. Take a look at where your heart is with it. And if it's there, then I think the sky's the limit for anybody.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Thank you, Chad. I've been a big fan of yours for a long time, since I've been watching for these past few years, and you were on my bucket list, man. So, man, you made my night, and thank you for bringing so much value to everybody listening here today.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you guys.
All right, man.
Yeah, I'll take it easy, man. We appreciate it.